Welcome to the Inside Texas Football YouTube channel, powered by InsideTexas.com. Wake up, Ian. This is Thursday morning live, presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Thank you for watching. Make sure that you do like this video. Make sure that you do subscribe to this channel. We're going a little early today just because there are a few things going on campus, including immediate availability around 11 a.m. So got to make our way there. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and of course, if you have not done so already, head to InsideTexas.com. There you can sign up and get 4 months of access for $1. Not something that you are going to want to miss out on. April 10th right now gets you all the way to August 10th. Heck, at that point, I think you're going to have a scrimmage. You'll be able to get some reports on. We'll have everything covered between now and then. So had some scrimmage notes up, I believe, the other day to check out. I had some practice notes. We'll have a lot more this week from the week of practice. But before we get going there, got a few things to talk about today. First off, it is draft season. So we will be talking about what we think is the best how do you describe it? The best draft guide out there with the Beast from Dane Brugler of The Athletic. No one's more detailed. No one does more research. No one talks to more people. He doesn't have to do TV appearances that cloud his, way of thinking about things. Absolute very best. And we're going to go over that starting in just a second. I should have pulled that up and had that ready. But we are going to start on the offensive side of things and go from there. So, of course, at the top of mind for pretty much anybody these days is Quinn Ewers. And unlike ESPN that had him going in the 6th round, or at least, I don't know if that meant 6th round grade or projected 6th round grade, but projected in the 6th round, as we see on the screen, right? Quinn Ewers. A lot of his weaknesses were identified, similar to how Texas fans identified weaknesses. Did praise his willingness to play through some pain and has a lot of traits. Called him the number 86 overall prospect. Gave him a 3rd round grade. Labeled him as quarterback 6. Ian seemed fair. The warts were all there, but the strengths are all there too, especially for someone who's probably not going to be asked to be a starter right away in the NFL.
Yeah, I think so. Maybe a little bit of a bump because of just the fact that he plays quarterback and he has a great arm. And as Justin has repeatedly noted on this show, teams need that so bad, they will reach for that. So I think 3rd round is almost even just a touch generous if he weren't a quarterback. Because, like you said, he's tough as nails. There's never been any questioning Quinn's toughness. But he's injured every single year, dating back to high school. And that's very concerning for the NFL, where the hits get worse and the season gets longer. That combined with the pocket presence and lack of mechanics is very, very tough projection for him. Like Brugler's getting at, but then you watch him throw like a deep out or something, and you're like, well, but it's probably worth a shot.
That Justin, that trust his arm over his mechanics line. I'm trying to figure like that. That's something that's a good thing in some respects. You have confidence. It's a bad thing in that even 4 years later, after we've watched him go through the high school process, and no draft prospect is perfect. Except for I forget who they label as like the perfect draft prospect. I think it may have been Andrew Luck when it comes to quarterbacks. But like the fact that 4 years later there's still mechanical issues, it's a justifiable ding on Ewers' resume.
It is. He's gone through some stuff. You want to see the improvement year over year. And I think Quinn has shown improvement year over year, but he's also stumped his toe in some aspects that I think that's why we've got a 3rd round grade instead of a 1st round grade. I think there are some issues that are still glaring, as Brugler has talked about, before anything else that we talk about. He's gotten better year after year, but yeah, he's a gunslinger, guys. He's grown up just throwing the ball whenever he needs to, relying on his arm. When you've relied on your arm for years, that's what you're going to, fall back on when the bullets are flying. That's what you're going to rely on when the game's on the line. It's your arm, and sometimes that helps him, and sometimes it gets him bit. We've seen it a few times last year where there were, some picks and some bad situations. And then there were some where, like in the Georgia game, there were some where it was just, you were lucky you didn't throw a couple other picks, especially in the SEC championship. And that was him trusting his arm over the mechanics. And so, he's a creature of habit. And like I said, I think he's got better year over year, but Ian makes the right point. He hasn't been healthy. And so whenever you're constantly hurt, it's hard to keep those repetitions the same. Sometimes you're going to overcompensate. When you've got a strained oblique, you're going to overcompensate in your mechanic when you throw the ball when your body's not right. And so that to me is a health thing. It's not a performance thing. It's just being healthy. And when you are healthy, you'll continue those mechanics stay consistent. When you're having to overcompensate for stuff year after year, that chips away at the foundation of what you had been doing. And so that's why he continually uses his arm. And hey, when you've got an arm, when you got a cannon like this kid, I get it. But in college, he got bit a few times relying on that arm more than the mechanics. And in the NFL, it only gets harder.
Blake Bryant brings up his mechanics never improved. I'll quibble with that. They improved. They never became great. They never became, impeccable.
It's hard to keep the same mechanics when you keep getting injured. You're
Right.
going to always overcompensate your body in other aspects, and it's going to screw up other parts of your mechanics just because of that one defect.
And despite all this, go ahead.
It's hard to develop. Footwork was the biggest problem.
Yes.
And it's hard to develop consistent footwork when not only are you getting injured every year in ways that maybe change how you want to move, but also every year he can make a lot of throws without using his lower body that much because he gets so much torque from like his arm.
Yeah.
And his core.
It's an easy habit to get into.
Yes, it makes it's like trying to learn to diet and exercise if you've had a super fast metabolism and an active lifestyle all your life. And then you start getting fat and you're like, oh, shoot, I need to diet and exercise, but I've never had to for 35 years, just speaking hypothetically.
So here's a good point. I mean, and despite all this, he's still number 86. Like, this is someone that teams see value in. There have been good third-round prospects. That means, however, likely he's going to be a backup that they see potential in. There have been backups that other teams have seen potential in that end up as starters. What, Dak was third or fourth round?
Fourth. He's got the tools.
Not far.
He's got all the tools. He's got
Wilson.
everything the NFL wants. You just got to put it together.
Yeah, Russell Wilson was a third rounder, beat Matt Flynn. So being a third rounder is not a bad thing. So
the bowl is empty, Rubble.
Well,
God, he's in there just hitting it.
Can't wait for the English Bulldog rankings. Jaden Blue.
You don't want those power rankings, buddy.
Jaden Blue's up next. We know what Jaden Blue's great traits are. Speed. We know what his knocks are. Ball security. But there's going to be some teams that wonder about going back to his high school days, why he sat out his senior year, because that's something that if you read Brugler, and again, recommend people go and look at it, he goes back that far. In the Quinn section, talks about going all the way back to Pee-wee football. And when you're investing, as these teams do, hundreds of thousands of or even millions of dollars, they want to know everything about you. But one of the things, Ian, that they're going to know about Blue is that he can run the ball damn fast, and they should ask Clemson about that too.
Yeah, he's that's That's the main selling point here, I would say. Extremely fast. His receiving has always been really good as well.
Yes.
They scored almost all their touchdowns against Clemson. All of their touchdowns against Clemson.
No, he had the run.
He had two wheel routes.
Yarder.
He had two wheel routes.
Two wheel route. Didn't he? Those were against Ohio State.
Sorry, not Clemson.
He had that 70-yard run against Clemson late.
I meant Ohio State. They had two wheel routes against Ohio State were most of the offense Texas had scoring-wise in that game. All the offense? What was the score of that game? 28-14?
Yes.
He did the same thing to Washington nearly the year before in the playoffs. Nearly caught that. He caught one wheel route that gave Texas a chance to steal that game in the last minute, and he nearly caught another one earlier in the game. He's gonna get chances just as like special teams, third down back. I don't know if the Patriots would have just trusted him back in the Tom Brady era, but he's exactly the kind of talent they would have loved to have Tom Brady throwing checkdowns to. He needs to prove that he can do pass protection so that he can be on the field on third down. And I don't know if the inside running is ever going to be really there.
Not in the NFL.
Ball security.
Blake Bryant says Blue seems like a Sean Payton fit. He could be if he'll just get just the pass protection thing in particular. Like if you
in the open field, you're not going to find many guys in this draft that are better. You're just not going to. In the open field, you're just not. He is a make you miss type of guy easily. It's going to be once he has 5 ounces of success, what's he going to be like off the field? That to me is the concern of all. Is he going to come to work every day, not skip out on workouts, not complain about an injury and milk that? Is he going to come to work every day? Because if he does, he's going to make a hand. He'll have a nice little career. I think he's going to get a little bit taste of success. If he doesn't cultivate that into a pro mentality, I don't know how long he's going to be in the league.
Yeah, we'll keep it moving. Lots of prospects, obviously, to talk about. That's always a good thing. Matthew Golden, number 15 prospect, first to second round grade. Makes sense just because of how the draft process is. They have Travis Hunter listed as a cornerback, no matter what he does in the NFL.
Because he is a corner.
All these draft prognostications have him in the corner when they're ranking positions. He's his own category anyway. So Golden's wide receiver 2 behind Tetaroa McMillan, who may end up being a top 10 pick. I still think Golden's going to end up being a top 20 pick because I think there's going to be some team because they know they not having to pay for wide receivers for all these expensive quarterbacks is so valuable. They're going to get good ones if they can, and I think that's going to be Golden in this upcoming draft. Justin?
Yeah, look, Matthew Golden, I don't know if anybody's stock at Texas went higher after the combine. I'm not sure there is. And the thing about Matthew is we, as on the beat, have seen this all year. So none of this is new to us, but to the draft nicks and all these experts, he's kind of the new fresh name coming out of the combine. But look, if there's one thing about Matthew Golden, it's his hands. He does not miss. He just doesn't drop the ball, and it felt like he was open every time last year. There's just something about him, gets in and out quickly, catches the ball quickly, does things quickly. That 1 year can change your life really meant something to Matthew Golden in Austin. We knew he was going to be great. I don't think anybody anticipated he's going to be this great. Now this guy's going to go in the first round. He's going to be my comp is Donnie Avery. He's an older wide receiver from the University of Houston. He went in the second round to the Rams probably 15 years ago. There's a lot of Matthew Golden, Donnie Avery, same body type. Matthew's a little bit taller, shifty, quick, lightning fast, great hands. Golden made himself a lot of money in the last 12 months, and it's going to be a lot of fun seeing him shake hands with the big man, Roger Goodell.
The
Yeah.
Ohio State game was over when he got hobbled.
Yep. We had a story ready for, he was supposed to, if he had like a 80-yard game, I think, in that game, he would have
over
broken
1,000.
He would have gone over 1,000 yards, and we never got to publish it. And that speaks to that. Speaking of getting hobbled and having a little bit of a derail, Isaiah Bond, third round grade, 88 overall in the top 100. I think we all know that he needs more polish, he needs to be healthy. But hey, if you run a 4.37 with the acceleration he has, Ian, it's hard for them not to find a place for you. There are some guys in the NFL who run fast, who have very questionable character and have police called to their house on a considerable basis. One was in the news the other day. And I'm not saying that's Isaiah Bond, not at all. No, never heard anything like that. Always been great to deal with. But speed can keep you in the league, and Isaiah Bond has speed.
Yeah, I would probably take a chance on Bond before I did on Blue, because Blue's position forces him he needs to develop stuff like pass protection to be able to take advantage of his speed and ability. Whereas Bond, it's a lower bar to clear for his speed to impact the game.
It's an effort thing, Ian.
He had a terrible season
because of lack of effort.
He
was hurt. He was hurt.
Yeah,
but lack of effort.
Yeah, I think he hurt himself a lot last season.
Yeah.
He thought that 1 year was going to be his, and but he was doing great until the OU game, and then it went.
Once he got dinged up, it went downhill from there. When people are in his ear, hey, you should shut it down and not hurt your draft stock, not knowing that would have been the dumbest possible thing, but that mentality was sunk into his head for the last 2 months of the season.
We're going to look back with regret that Golden didn't get more targets and focus
early on
than Bond.
He did break out with Michigan, so I thought about that too. Also, like, why didn't Golden could have been kind of
It's weird.
Yeah, I thought the same thing with Golden.
One more skill position player before we show some love.
This is the guy,
Gunnar Helm. 96 overall, third or fourth round, makes sense. Everybody's going to focus on the ankle injury, but the one thing that I think we can all attest to that Brugler identified, and this kind of shows how much he talks to scouts, stuff like that. Gunnar Helm, who we've had on this channel before, he doesn't have any knucklehead in him, which I think is an awesome thing to read in a scouting report, Justin.
It is. I'm a fan of the word knucklehead. I think I've probably used it a little bit too much. I may have used it a little too much talking to Dane over the last year, but he's right with Gunnar Helm. Even that 15-yard unsportsmanlike against Ohio State, which was a joke. There's no knucklehead here. This guy is steadily improved every year. Gunnar Helm, look, this is going to be the guy that we look back and go, oh, look, he's played in the league for 9 years. Oh, look at that. He's been to 2 Pro Bowls. He could come into an organization and get impactful snaps this year and make a difference. And it's all because he put in the work. Gunnar Helm is the guy that he's going to help tight end recruiting for the next 3 or 4 years. Him and Jatavian Sanders. If Mark Bowman winds up signing with Texas, buddy, you better look at Gunnar Helm.
Ian, anything to add?
The anti-Blue or Bond.
Yeah.
Gunnar Helm did everything he needed to do to have impact, and that's why he was like the leading receiver for the team. Physicality in the blocking game was not impressive last year. He was just kind of catching people and holding them.
He's not that strong.
So that's kind of a big concern. But he might be able to develop that. And he was
in the league, he'll be more of a flex out guy. I think for longevity, I think he does have to add some physicality, which you're talking about. But I do think in this era, the tight ends can get away with a little bit less now when it comes to that.
And if he goes to a team that has 2, I'd say wide receiver 1 caliber wide receivers, that's going to help him. they're going to have to dedicate that too high attention to him, and there he is running against a linebacker.
The Rams, the Los Angeles Rams. That's a fit.
Fit is going to be important for him. And I think if he's called upon in the NFL to be a primary pass catcher, like he was this year, it may not go well for that team. But if he's got two like valuable wide receivers working with him, it's going to help him. And you saw that some this year with Bond and with like Wingo and Golden on the field at the same time. Teams did respect that, and it helped him out a little bit. You can talk about the Quinn Ewers aspect of it all, but a team with good wide receivers is going to help Gunnar Helm. Before we get into the other highly rated offensive draft prospect, there we go, a word from Academy.
Days like this, the anticipation's half the fun. The call to adventure. Possibilities in every direction. Look at that. The stories you'll bring back, even the true ones. And already, you can't wait until next time. From first catch to biggest catch of the season, this is where it starts. Academy Sports and Outdoors. Have fun out there.
We got one more big boy to talk about before we get to Kelvin Banks. Cam Williams, who has been going through a knee issue.
Bigger boy.
For a lot of the last few months. I don't think he was able to even go through some combine drills or pro day drills, but it was a good thing for him. He measured in at 317 at the combine, got up to 334 pounds at pro day, according to Dane. And Dane, as always, has a great tagline. He forces rushers to take a $20 Uber ride to get around him in pass pro. And Ian, when you see these big, I don't want to say raw because that's so all-encompassing, it doesn't seem as specific. When you see teams take these tackles and they're like, you're 6'7", you got huge hands, you're 350 pounds, usually you see them just go forward and succeed. Christian Jones is a decent example of that. But Cam Williams always kind of seemed like he got it in pass protection and would still have to figure some things out in the run game.
I feel like he would flash in either regard and do like remarkable things at times, and it just wasn't quite consistent. That Ohio State film is pretty rough on him. If you want to go number 2 on the blame list behind Golden being injured, they got torched by Jack Sawyer on the last 2 plays, and Quinn didn't really have a chance. And at least one of those was Cam Williams like playing hurt and just getting olayed by Sawyer. But he was hurt, so I don't know how much that weighs against him. I don't know. You would see like sometimes you would see the pass protection look pretty good. His anticipation generally had to be good because he wasn't very reactive. And sometimes you'd see him in the run game like get out on people and make blocks that huge people like that should never be able to make. So I don't know. I wonder if he sneaks up a little early if there's a team that feels good about their O-line coaching that has a need and an opportunity. I could see him going a lot earlier than the 4th.
Do you guys remember an offensive tackle for the Dallas Cowboys in the 90s named Eric Williams?
No.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Eric Williams here. A lot of these things were similar to what Eric Williams went through pre-draft. Humongous human, strong, flashed at times, was a little inconsistent. There's some similarities there. If Cam Williams is the guy that in 5 years, if we go, oh, look, he's starting right tackle in the NFL for the last 3 years, I'm not going to be surprised. But if he's injured and if he can't play consistently, he's going to be a guy that bounces around the league for 5 years. He'll go to this team for a year, this team for 2 years. Either way, I think teams are going to take a chance because of his size and his ability. The knee thing that's nagging, but that's just recent. And so I think get him in, get him healthy. Cam Williams' upside is probably more than Banks, but it's just on the field. It's just consistently, and that's why Mr. Banks is who he is.
We gotta talk to Dane.
I know. I'm already about to have that conversation.
I think I'm still surprised that this is persisting even after he measured in at 6'5". He's tall. Like even Texas listed him at 6'4". He's 6'4.5" or he's 6'5". He's tall. He's got the size. He's got the arm length. Is it the look or something like that? I don't understand. I still don't get it.
I think people have got enamored with the prototypical tall left tackle. I think people have gotten so fixated on the 6'7", 300-pound, perfectly sculpted, moldable, reach for days offensive tackle that goes in the first 10 picks of the draft. And they think, well, Kelvin Banks doesn't look anything like that, even though he plays like that or even plays better than that. He doesn't look like that. So there's no way he can be that. But he can, and he will. It's an overthought. It's one of those things where it's been talked about so much because there's not something else to talk about. It's almost like they created it.
It's AR brings up, is it lazy groupthink?
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
We're not knocking Dane, but Kelvin Banks is an OG, but it's not a guard. He's a gangster. This guy's going to play tackle for a decade. Trust me.
I need to see the full write-up from Dane because I have no idea why this keeps coming up from respected scouts. No idea at all.
I wonder if they look at the film and just think like, well, that guy doesn't look super big, and they're ignoring
because he's not super big,
and they're just ignoring data that they have. And here's the other thing: if
giving up 1 sack in 3 years,
if someday Kelvin Banks starts to lose a step, yeah, he's going to be a great guard. He can play that and create. If he goes from like tackle to guard after about year 4 or 5 for some reason, he's going to have a 10-year NFL career without a doubt, and staying healthy. But like, I think you look at what he did against Will Anderson and Duke Azoma, McDonald, just all these guys like Michael Williams, like
the K-State guy that stole the Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year award.
Yeah, like I think it's a weird overthink. I think people look at Will Campbell and think like that's what they're supposed to look like, and then they're still trying to rip that apart. Yeah,
Joe, they're dinging him too. Have you noticed that as well? What did we talk about right before the draft season started? We're going to have the ebb and flow of a roller coaster. They are going to pick needle some of these guys. They'll go back and forth. With Banks, I just don't get it. I really don't. I tell you who does get it, the NFL. Because when he gets drafted, he's jogging out at tackle that first snap of practice. And the NFL gets it. So.
Maybe they're worried about him facing power rushing from bigger NFL ends, which was the only time he would look remotely vulnerable in Texas.
I mean,
but even then, I don't know.
Here's the thing about Kelvin, I think goes under the radar. He is really strong.
Yeah.
Like he is solid. His base, that's one of the things that makes him so good. It's that trunk. He has that base and those legs and those feet. You're not moving him. I'm telling you, he's Justin Blaylock on roids, man. He's better, he's stronger, and he's going to be playing tackle.
I like that one. We can probably move through these guys real quick. Are y'all surprised to see Hayden Conner nab a draft grade?
No, because they're all size queens, apparently, and he's enormous, and he could play center. So
and he's really smart. And he's going to play in the NFL as long as he kind of wants to, I feel like. I think the NFL is still going to be a hobby in a sense for Mr. Conner. His brain is built to do other things.
He's going to come back and help Elon get to Mars.
He's one of those. One of my favorite things is like if you I think I never thought of this, but I love the phrase. Football can definitely use you. Can you use football? I think Hayden Conner has.
I like that, Joe.
4-year career at Texas, quality play.
He owns a house in Austin. That's
Owns
primo.
a house. I think-
Multiple houses.
Yeah.
This guy is smart. He's
Yeah.
made investments. He's just got married.
Yep.
Bless his heart, he didn't have enough friends to warn him. This kid has got a great future. I love Hayden Conner. Hayden Conner's getting drafted. It's last day, but he'll get drafted.
I think so too. And then Jake Majors.
I like how, what was it? Paul described him as a screener. He's not really a blocker as much as he is a screener.
He's better at pass protecting than you would expect for someone who's 6'6"
and versatile.
22.
Remember when somebody would get dinged up, you could just move
played
him
center.
around.
Yeah, and that was where he played center in the playoff game against Clemson, and that's where Brugler kind of sees sixth round. And then Jake Majors, I think he's getting drafted, but he is pigeonholed into a center, and again, definitely needs to go to the right system. Rams, 49ers, an outside running team is going to need that quickness because he's not just a straight ahead strength guy.
He's going to play in the league. He's kind of like Connor. I think he'll play in the league about as long as he wants to. Jake, there's something to be said about an old school center that's a little undersized, but really smart, really savvy, and really scrappy. And that's Jake Majors.
And durable. Anything from the free agents, Bolden, Davis?
Bolden's going to do some stuff in special teams in the league. He's going to catch on with a team. He's going to be Mr. Heart Attack for an NFL team rather than the Longhorns last year. I think Silas Bolden's going to be fun to watch in the league.
I don't really see it for either of them. Maybe Juan Davis is a fullback. He might.
If he was going to be a fullback, he already would have been one.
He was, though. He basically was a fullback last year.
I'm skeptical, to be honest.
I guarantee you somebody will invite him to camp at least and try him at fullback. I've talked to two dudes that went to the NFL and got moved to fullback after they went to the NFL. And one of them did okay, and the other one was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I played defensive tackle. I don't know what you're telling me to do. Juan Davis should take to it a lot easier than those guys did. So
the Silas Bolden, I'm trying to compare if I can find, what is he, wide receiver 80? Okay, let me find that. I love this AR, and I'm trying to look up exactly what
I remember that guy.
Here's the problem. Bolden is not as fast. Trendon Holiday was running a 4.3, and his vertical was 42 inches at like 5'5", 160.
I was about to say he was little.
Bolden is 5'8", 160, and ran a 4.53. So I would like the Trendon Holiday comp to hold, but I think Trendon Holiday was a SEC. I think he was an all SEC sprinter. So he played for my beloved Texans for the first couple of years of his career. So I don't know. I think there's something. He'll get a camp invite, but we'll see what happens after that.
He'll definitely get a camp invite.
Let's move on to defense. Only a handful of guys here. Edge, like quarterback, something very valued by teams. Abdul Carter, somebody who's probably going to go in the top. Michael Williams up there as well. We love Barron Sorrell. Hope Barry Sorrell is watching. A couple cool things here. Posted the fastest miles per hour in the hoop drill, which is a key pass rushing drill at the combine. One thing that caught my eye from Dane that's not listed on here, he considers Sorrell a 4.3 fit instead of a 3.4 fit. Ian, that kind of caught me by surprise. What do you think on that one?
Well, he played they slid him inside some at Texas, even though he's not that big because he's so strong. And he played more of the strong edge spot. So that makes sense to me. He's
like a tradition. He's an old school traditional strong side defensive end.
He's physical enough to do it. Yeah. He's not that big though for the NFL. Like to Joe's point, he's not like a strong side end in the NFL is often 270 plus. And Sorrell like slimmed down to like 250 for these drills, right?
He'll probably play in the NFL at 260.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then is he 15 miles an hour? on hoop
Right.
drill. So we'll see.
The thing about Sorrell, too, is inside the chest.
Yeah.
Like the picture of the dogs hanging out in your rib cage. That's Baron Sorrell. Like, he's going to make it because he's Baron Sorrell, because he understands the process will help him in the long run. But yeah, he's an old school strong side defensive end like a Greg Ellis, old North Carolina DN the Cowboys drafted years ago. He's back from the 80s, that old school, get him on the field on third down when you needed a rush type guy.
Ian, what, like, 2nd and 7 nickel, what alignment would he be in most often?
For Texas?
Yes.
Just the wide side edge, usually like a.
Because I don't usually see the number 6 when you're talking about defensive linemen, and that was something Dane had in his report.
The number what?
6, like D-line alignment. 5 tech, 3 tech, 6 was mentioned. Let me see if I can find exactly what he said.
He played 6 if they had a tight end on him.
Yeah, 5 or 6 technique, which I never hear about.
So Alfred Collins.
Sorry, I went
because we got Cicero down here looking for an NBA podcast.
We'll get to that later. Number 68 overall prospect. A lot of again, we love Dane. We get to see this because we cover the team so closely. Coordination was praised. Still work to go in matching the skills to the physical gifts. But the big thing for Alfred Collins this year, Justin, was that he did it for a full season as a starter and did it really well for a great defense.
That's it. Like, we saw the flashes freshman, sophomore, junior year, really that freshman year. We saw the flashes. But then I think he had to wait and turn. There were guys ahead of him that are playing on a regular basis in the league. And so Alfred almost had to wait his turn. In another program, he probably plays a lot sooner and starts a lot longer. But Alfred had to wait. He didn't complain. Hard worker, great family, unbelievable mother. Like, Alfred Collins is a guy that he's going to get drafted, like they said, between the 2nd and the 3rd round because he's an athletic freak, because he's big, because he's strong, because the NFL likes guys they can project at the next level. His best football is going to be in the league. It's going to be similar to Charles Omenihu. Charles's best football wasn't at Texas. It was in the NFL. Alfred Collins is going to be the exact same way.
If he could move to 3-4 defensive end, that'll really be true.
Yeah, I agree.
And he's long enough, I think, to do that.
And athletic and coordinated enough.
Yes. Don't forget, this kid used to hoop on the floor, on the basketball court.
He did his most statistical damage at Texas that year, 2021, as a sophomore. When they just started playing a 3-4 all the time because everybody got injured, and they used him as a defensive end as like a 5 or 4-eye, and he was awesome. And they were like, it was a bad package. It was like, you can't defend the spread from this, guys. And they're like, we know, but this is the best we can do, and it turns him into a monster. So that's all we got.
Yeah, I like that. Allows him to use that length pretty well. Chris Bennett, did the coordinator change hurt Collins? Then he just figured it out. Let's see. Who's on that 2020 line? I don't think so. I think he just figured it out. The systems were similar enough to where he just had to step his game up.
Maybe the change from Orlando. He was recruited.
He went on campus then.
I know, but he was recruited by. Orlando's system was the best fit for him.
I can see that.
I mean, we were all like, you're big. You should be able to figure out PK's scheme. And it just took a while. Orlando's would have been really easy for him.
Alfred just took it took a little bit longer in the oven. That's all. He was a guy that came out as a big-time prospect, high 4-star. Everybody wanted him. Just took a little bit more time.
I think I think this is just as impressive as Collins' improvement, because I think 2 years ago, we weren't ever thinking that Vernon Broughton was going to be an early day 3 pick. And now Justin, he's made his way into that range because he continued the pipeline that Texas has at defensive line.
You know, it was funny when Texas needed him the most, Vernon Broughton brought it. He just did, like in big games, in big moments. Vernon is a testament to development, to riding it out, not looking at the transfer portal, sticking with the lady that you brought to the dance. Vernon was a great teammate. And I think he was a good complement with Collins and with Norton and some of these other guys. He's not going to dominate, but he was always going to give you effort. He was always going to be disruptive. He was going to be active. And that's what you want on those D-line. That's what you want from a guy like that. I saw him a couple of weeks ago after practice, and it looks like he's lost weight. Like for a guy that's going to play defensive tackle at the next level, he looked smaller than he did in the season. And I don't know if it's marriage. I don't know if it's that lifestyle. I'm not sure. I think he's going to have some fun in the NFL. I don't know how long he's going to play, but he's going to be there. He'll be active. He'll make a team. He'll do some things. I don't know how much past that though.
I think he said he had a quad issue that kind of limited him during.
When I saw him last Saturday, I didn't recognize it was him.
Right.
I thought it was some other. You know what it reminded me of? One of those big offensive linemen that finally gets out of a college program and starts to slim down. And I thought, Vernon, man, you're about to get your name called in a couple weeks. You look. He looks great.
Yeah,
but he doesn't necessarily look like a defensive tackle.
The light bulb moment, I think, for a lot of people this year with Broughton was at Michigan on that fourth down stop. That was when you realized, oh, okay, that the defensive tackles are still the defensive tackles at Texas.
I think he was good in the first half against A&M too, if I remember correctly.
I think so as well. Jahdae Barron, I get why Travis Hunter's cornerback won.
Yes. Barron's better than Will Johnson, and Will Johnson is damn good. Yeah. You can't go wrong with either one, Joe.
I saw a clip of somebody was trying to hype up Wingo the other day on that end around that he had at Michigan, and Will Johnson down 20 tracked him down. Like the athleticism
Johnson
there.
had to add the angle too.
He had the angle. He had to catch the angle. Jahdae Barron is one of the things Dane said was that the tapes, or excuse me, the time speed, you don't always see it on tape. And I kind of agree with that, but I don't think you're going to find a smarter player, Ian, in this upcoming draft.
Yeah, I think because he's so smart and well-rounded, he is a guaranteed lock to be a multi-year starter and an impact defensive back. Like either he's going to be an awesome corner, in which case congratulations on taking him in the first round, or he's going to move inside like that multi-year. Who's that dude for the Patriots?
No, he reminds me of Trent McDuffie, the corner from Kansas City.
McCourty, yeah,
one of the twins.
He could be McDuffie. He could be McCourty. McBarron.
He's proof that you don't have to run a 4-2, 4-3 at corner to be highly, highly, highly effective in the NFL. His brain is going to take him a long way.
He's going to be a great player.
Yeah, I think who else needs defense? Hunter's probably going to go to the Browns, right?
He won't go past 2. That's
right.
The best athlete in the draft, best corner in the draft, best defensive player in the draft.
Johnson's going to go pretty high, deservedly so.
I'd say outside the top 10. I think that's when we see him and Barron drop.
So who's first? Now that we have all 3 first rounders talked about, who's first off the board?
That corner?
Barron, Banks, and Golden.
Oh, Banks.
Bank on it.
Here's the thing. I think Banks definitely is. Banks
won't go past the Bears at 10.
I think Banks needs the Texans to trade up for him.
Oh, I think the Texans need the Texans to trade up for him.
Because I don't know who. I don't know if they're. I think if he gets past the Bears, Banks may fall unless a team trades up for him. Just because of the way the needs are working in this draft. Last up, Andrew
Hey,
Makuba.
I like Football Junkies. Hot, scorching take. Barron's best year was his 5th year. Okay, so Football Junkie didn't watch football, so you can't be called you can't call yourself Football Junkie if you don't watch football. Football Junkie. Come on, FJ, get it right.
Man. All right,
he is right though. Johnson was a baller for 3 years, but buddy needs to watch a little of that football on Saturdays.
So Makuba's write-up, he actually Dane talks to Brent Venables because Venables coached him at Clemson for a year. And one of the quotes that Venables has is, he's easy to coach and cold-blooded on the field. He's a self-starter and really ambitious. And that's why I highlighted what I highlighted. Makuba is said to have left Clemson because he wasn't being pushed enough. And I think that has to do a little bit with the defensive coordinator that Texas helped usher out the door. But man, this is
Not Venable.
That's
it was
right there, buddy.
Didn't he end up at A&M?
Wes Goodwin is now an analyst for Venables at Oklahoma.
That's right. Okay.
Ugh.
But Makuba, I think going through the notes, they're going to knock the size, but that's why he's going to be playing free safety and laying hat. He made the most of the 1 year at Texas that he had. He had a great career at Clemson. His career at Texas turned it into a fantastic career.
He got better every year, guys. I mean, every game. It felt like what was it like week 4? Where it clicked, and then we're all like, "Oh, there's that guy that we've been talking about all year." And then every game after that, he was killing somebody. And then the Georgia and the SEC championship will be one of my favorite memories. Obviously, the pick against Arizona State is big. Makuba, similar to Matthew Golden, he made the most of 1 year. It changed his life. He is going to he's going to be fun to watch in the league.
It's so good to be able to get those 5-1-2 kids back that they missed on.
Yes.
Like, you're going to miss on those kids a lot, and being able to poach them back out of the portal is awesome.
Williams Williams was the starter. Derek Williams started over Makuba at the beginning of the year.
Well,
that's a good point.
And Ian, I know the wheels are turning. They would switch based off what they were facing.
But Derek Williams is another level of athletic.
Derek Williams is also like a potential, fourth type talent too.
He's prehistoric, people. Come on.
We got anything from the free agent projections?
David Benda's going to make a hand. He's going to make a special teams in the league, and he's going to make a hand. Gavin Holmes didn't surprise me either.
I kind of think Holmes might get drafted. Where did he end up running?
Yes.
He's fast.
I can tell you in a second. Shout out to Dane, because this is the most user-friendly experience I've ever seen. It's not just the big PDF. Like, it is a experience. 4.45 at Pro Day with a 39-inch vert.
Yeah. Okay. Gavin's got some of that Louisiana athlete to him.
Yeah, I think
you can make a hand in the league like that.
He's almost a 40-inch vertical, almost an 11-foot broad jump. I think there's something there for him. Ian from AR, which team would best suit Makuba?
Any team. He's extremely versatile. He can play man coverage. He's extremely smart in zone. And first half of the year, I would have said, you can tell that he lacks size sometimes on some of these hits and collisions. And then in the second half of the year, I would have said,
it's like a different guy.
He's a different guy. He started killing people. Like, his angles or his anticipation got a little better or something. He's gonna fit and help a lot of teams.
Ian, that kid would thrive with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Mike Tomlin, thrive.
Is Minka still there?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
That'd be a fun.
He would be a physical fit for Tomlin.
Exactly. Before we keep going, got to show some love to our other sponsor, that is Andre the Lawyer.
This video is brought to you by Andre the Lawyer. If you're injured, trust the team that secured millions for their clients and helped thousands of Texans with their injury case. Car wrecks, slip and falls, 18-wheeler accidents, on-the-job injuries, and wrongful deaths. Don't let insurance tell you what your claim is worth. Hire Andre the Lawyer to fight for you. Principal office is in Dallas, but they serve Texans throughout the state. So don't wait and call Andre the Lawyer today at 214-444-8808. That's 214-444-8808. The contact information is in the description.
Do you guys know how many times in the history of the AP poll, which I think dates back to the late 30s, early 40s, that Texas has been ranked number 1 in the preseason poll?
60 times.
It's a little less.
58.
I'm gonna say like
9.
I'm gonna say 7 times.
The correct answer is 0. Texas has never been the preseason AP number 1 team. They've been the number 2 team 5 times, 62, 65, 70, 05.
How were they not preseason number 1?
That was a
East Coast bias.
I think Penn State may have been Penn State, Ohio State, Nebraska. May have been some backlash against.
There was some Joe Paterno bias
some backlash
back then.
This is before the
I don't
South took over covering college football from the fuddy-duddies on the coasts.
I don't know. And I wonder how much President Nixon, if y'all have ever seen that little Nixon National Championship, 30 for 30, it's a cool thing to watch. I wonder how much that affected it.
A little bit. This day and age, could you imagine if Trump did that? People would lose their mind. And I would just,
man, awarded national championship.
He had a thing
I
with
would
the
just
Dodgers.
I'd be eating popcorn.
He had a thing with the Dodgers just the other day. There's so much going on that it's impossible for people's heads to explode about everything he does.
Exactly.
Because your head can only explode so many times.
Yeah.
Now,
he's right.
Texas
There was some Joe Paterno bias back then.
There is actually, if you go back, the year that Oklahoma beat the absolute dog piss out of Texas Tech in 2008, before the game, they had this like special deal where Donald Trump had this like special football for Mike Leach. And he's like, Mike Leach is the greatest coach. He's going to win today. And it was like praising Leach as this genius and his friend. It's amazing to see now. It's like on ABC, like as part of the game deal. And then Oklahoma beat them like 65-13 or something. It was wild.
That's real, Ian?
Anyway,
you can find it on YouTube. It's amazing.
Wow, I had no idea.
Just like Leach doing the weather. Eric wrote an article the other day on Inside Texas on what do the Longhorns need to do to earn the preseason number 1 ranking, something they've never done. I don't think they're going to get it. I think there's going to be some lazy takes for Ohio State with, Julian Sain's just fine.
Is there something you can do in the spring to do that? I'm not really sure.
You can win the transfer portal, but you can also have Arch Manning at quarterback. And I think that quarterback solidification, even though there are some like lists coming out where, Bud, I know you're not watching, we love you, but like, man, come on. Arch Manning's got to be a top 10 quarterback in the sport right now. But Texas
I think Bud got away with that because of the returning word. Because otherwise, he did that purely out of trolling, and we love some Bud. But I think it was the returning little thing there that held him up. I'm going to guess that because Bud is an intelligent person, and that was an unintelligent take.
I listen to him pretty regularly, and I need to double check on that. So that may be the case. But nonetheless, to be a number 1 team in the country,
you need that guy. You got to have that guy.
It helps to have, that guy. And Ian, Arch Manning's going to be that guy.
Yeah.
It's hard to expand. We talk about him so much. Hopefully, we get to talk to him today in the media because players have an availability at 11.
You know what's going to help Texas be preseason #1 in 2026? Arch Manning. Not going to be this year. They're going to get Ohio State's going to be preseason #1 this year. It's just going to happen. But I could see it next year when after he's on the cover of NCAA 27.
But people are like AR saying all they need to hear is saying it's looking good at camp, and analysts will make Ohio State #1. Well, you're not hearing that yet.
Well, you're hearing some of that, and then Ryan Day comes out and starts talking about the other guy.
South Dakota.
Dave's playing the media when it comes to that. Julian Sayan's the one throwing the pill in Columbus right now.
Is it that is it actually, do they just want do they want the other guy to stay?
Yes, they're afraid that he'll leave for the portal, so they have to come up with this quarterback competition to keep him there as long as possible.
Okay.
I think Day does that pretty regularly. I think he waited to say Fields was a starter till fall. I think he waited to say Howard was the starter until fall. But I'm not sure if it was a competition in this way. He waited a while for McCord and Devin Brown, right?
He waited. See, but that's the one you don't want. Like, he waited for a while for Howard, but everyone at practice was like, it's Howard. He's getting all the reps. McCord and Brown, that's what you don't want here.
Right.
Because he waited forever to name it McCord because he didn't want to.
Right.
Or we can go all the way back, Justin Zwick and Troy Smith. And that decision may have cost – I'm going to say it. I think that cost Ohio State that game in 2005. If they go with Troy Smith the whole time and not Justin Zwick, that season may look a little bit different. But
you got a point there. Troy needed that season, though, for him to have that 2006.
Troy made mistakes in that game too.
Yeah, Troy was still going to turn the ball over. There was a reason Zwick was getting so much run. It's because Troy was giving the ball away in practice. So he needed that bumps in the road in 2005 to come out and have that Heisman year in 2006. Neither
of them were going to beat that Texas defense that day.
But that Troy Smith in 2006, he was ready. He was ready, and he had the toys around him.
Quarterback's going to be a big reason why voters look around and think like, oh yeah, that's a big thing. The
reason Florida is probably number 12 or 13 in the country.
You can generate a lot of hype by being active in the portal. Lane Kiffin
Texas Tech.
Lane Kiffin, Texas Tech. Texas Tech is going to sneak into some top 20s with some in some polls, I'm pretty sure, because of what they've picked up. And as Eric explains, keeping guys is super important. That doesn't grab headlines unless it has to grab headlines. Like if, let's say last year that Barron did jump in the portal and then Texas brought him back, that'd be like, oh, wow, they're doing good in the portal. But that's not what happened. He just stayed for his 5th year. If they can make some more splashes, get that 4th defensive tackle out of the portal, tight end, wide receiver, guys we anticipate to be talented, that's probably going to have people talking about like, oh, look at this free agent they're bringing in, because that's the easy headline to grab. Anything to see there?
I think you said it really well.
Perfect. Next,
the spring portal is the thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh,
it doesn't matter who Texas adds in the spring portal, though. They're not going to be number 1.
That is.
It will for me.
Isn't that all that matters?
They're not right now for me, but they will be.
They're not. No, they're not number 1, no matter who jumps in the portal.
Oh, there's some people I could name that I'm not going to name, and if they're in the portal and they end up at Texas is going to be number 1 in my list.
Well, hey, I'm going to trust your intuition that Travis Hunter is coming back.
Oh, my
because
God.
He'd make a difference. If Travis Hunter just decides to hit the portal and come to Austin, preseason number 1 could happen.
Gilbo, you're moving back to nickel.
Oh, man. Ian, you've talked about this a lot.
Receiver.
Having the run game identity. Going back to a lot of what Dane wrote, he describes Sark's offense as RPO, wide zone. Obviously, you think we're going to have a little bit of a different look to the run game this year, and that should help in some big games. We know passing can help you win games, but running's key as well, and this run game could help them sit on opponents where they may have struggled to do that some last year.
I think that's a little more reputational. That makes me a little. That makes me pause a little bit on Brugler. If he's calling Sark's offense an RPO offense, like it's not the most RPO heavy of the offenses you'll find in college football. And if you think they were running a lot of it last year, you just freaking wait until
Amen.
Y'all haven't seen RPO offense yet.
Nope.
You'll see it this year.
There's going to be somebody different running it now.
I'm excited to hear about right tackle. It's a battle we're going to have to track down with Brandon Baker and Kojo. And last but not least, team depth. If you're playing 16, 17 games, you got to have guys. You got to have guys who you can trust out there. And this is, Justin, where top-rated recruiting classes really come in handy.
This is it. Team depth is huge. It feels like we talked about it so much this past season, how valuable the depth was at Texas to make that run. The last 2 years to make those runs required depth. And when people say, well, why is Texas talking to a David Bailey, an edge out of Stanford? Team depth. Why are they looking at a Javion Cole? What's he going to do? Team depth. Do they really need Travis Shaw because they've already brought in Cole Brevard and they've already got this guy? Team depth. It matters. You're going to play a long season in college football in the future, you're going to have bodies. And you're going to have guys that are willing to find a role and be happy in it with depth. Because a lot of guys hit the portal and anticipate to start somewhere else. Doesn't work like that at Texas. You hit the portal to come to Texas just to be in the rotation, if you're lucky. Team depth is the main culprit for that.
Lots of reasons to be excited. So here's one thing that I did notice, though. I think I wrote something about like being ranked preseason number 1. Usually there's a consensus team. Like somebody gets 50 votes, somebody gets, however many votes. It's going to be split up this year. Yes. You're going to have probably Texas, Ohio State,
Georgia,
Notre Dame, Penn State, Georgia, maybe Oregon, maybe
Oregon.
Like there's going to be a lot of different teams who are able to gather.
Wait till Michigan gets too highly ranked. Wait. Man, I don't know if we're ready for the Bryce Underwood experience.
I am as well.
I got to tell you something about Bryce Underwood real quick, Joe. I think you would be. Palestine Westwood quarterback Kavian Bryant made it to Michigan last weekend. I caught up with him and his dad this week. They took a picture with Bryce Underwood. Kavian Bryant's the same size. Kavian Bryant's 15 years old.
Oh, boy. Ian, you need to watch him. You'll be impressed. It'll take you 25 minutes because that's how long his highlights are. I'm gonna do a piece for IMGO Blog's annual this summer, and so I gotta watch some. I'm trying to find some full games of Bryce. I think they're available.
And
I'm sure. He's gonna start, right? He makes more than the offensive coordinator, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. Hopefully Oracle didn't get affected too much by the recent day's events in the economy for his sake.
If not, they'll just pause it.
Oh, man. Last thing, had a good question from the chat. Here's a hot take. Jonah Williams will be the first Texas Longhorn to win a championship in baseball and football.
I like that.
I'm looking this up real quick. James Street obviously won the national championship at Texas as a quarterback. He made it to 3 College World Series as a baseball player. I think he even has thrown if I remember right, he threw a perfect game. Multi-time first-team all-conference in baseball, multi-time Southwest Conference champion. Part of me wonders, and Naaman, maybe you know this, if there was some guy on – well, no, it wouldn't make sense. They never overlapped. And there was nobody on the 05 team I could think of that would have been on both, because the baseball championships are
The closest that you had in the 2000s was Adam Dunn.
the baseball championships are 49, 50, 75, 83, 02, and 05. So that gives
Spock
you
Owen could have played safety.
that gives you one possibility. Let me see. What do you?
Houston
I mean,
Street
Houston
on that-
Street actually was a very good safety in high school.
Yeah, that would've been the closest.
it was
Until they ran into
Midland.
Cedric Benson.
Midland Lee played Westlake at DKR. Was that a
Yeah.
semi or a state final?
I
It
think
made
it
it a
was
state final.
State
I think it
final.
was the final.
I think it was a state final.
And I remember I talked to Houston a few years ago for a story, and I think he told about trying to tackle him. He's like, I was not built from the same things that Cedric Benson was.
He still played well against him.
Let me see.
I believe James Street told him. James Street was waiting for him when he woke up the next morning.
Yeah.
And he was like, "How does that feel? That's what you're in for if you try to play football in college. Maybe you just stick to baseball, son."
All right. If I can recognize any names from the baseball roster.
I know, Chris.
Oh, yeah. I was about to say, this is a guy we need to come in. Oh,
I was trying to find a guy that played football and baseball at Texas. The last two are Adam Dunn and Ricky Williams. And Ricky Williams didn't play baseball at Texas. He played for the Phillies Class A team somewhere in Sarasota, Florida.
Quan Cosby could not play for the team, right?
Right. He had done
He played pro baseball. He lost his eligibility there, I think.
Yeah.
maybe the only, I mean, we can ask Randy Boone, who's been on our baseball show on this channel a good amount. We got a few other people we can ask.
Bruce Keachnick could have played outside linebacker, maybe.
There's a guy, I don't remember this. Ken Kasparek is listed at 6'10", 235. Maybe that's a little tall for
That sounds like a post player.
It sounds like Dan Skipper a little bit. Off the top of my head, I don't see anybody who could possibly have been on the baseball roster and the football roster that year. But to answer that question, man, that would be I think he has the best chance of anybody we can remember just because we know playing two sports is so difficult.
I like that he's been getting some playing time. He's been getting in the game a little bit and playing and keeping him engaged. I think that's awesome for Jonah. I think it's crucial, honestly, because once June rolls around, it's going to be a different world for him.
This is a good point. Keith Moreland played for baseball and football.
And he was all conference, and I think he was all conference in both, maybe all American in both.
I think
definitely all conference.
He just missed out on. No, he was on the national championship team in '75.
Right. He would have been on the '77 team, but he quit after Earl's freshman year, I think.
And then what is it? 1973. If I can figure out how far this 1973 team went, we'll see how close he was, because that's
that guy played for 13 years in the majors.
They won the Southwest Conference, but they weren't in national title contention. So Keith Moreland's probably the closest. I think looking at, let's see, what was he?
Are we just going to completely ignore Shea Morin's?
Was Shea Morin's ever close to a football national championship?
I don't guess so. He wasn't really close to winning baseball either. But man, he could do both. He could do both.
He wasn't really close to anybody either, so I've heard.
No, that was a weird story.
Anyway, Ian, what y'all got coming up on the deep dive later today?
Yeah, the deep dive today, dropping at 12 o'clock. Me and Paul go through the best programs in college football. If all the programs in college football came open right now and you're a head coach, which ones would you pick if you're trying to win as many national championships as possible?
The cool
Iowa State.
Just a heads up. Okay.
The cool thing about this list is that it is probably far, far different than what it was 5 years ago.
That is
about
important.
That's funny how that works out too.
and
Yeah.
based off what's going on in a court in California, in 2 years it could be different. So
We tried to anticipate that just a little bit for sure. But yeah, you gotta stay tuned.
Yep.
Paul, spoiler alert, Paul, like Justin, is a traitor who has no faith in your favorite team. But perhaps I will make a choice that's a little more rational and a little more exciting.
If you say Texas Tech, I'm turning it off.
I can see the options because it's left over from when y'all recorded here on the dashboard, and there's one I disagree with, but I can see where you're coming from. So hey, that means you're gonna have to come back. Make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you have not done so already, head to InsideTexas.com. You can get 4 months for just $1. Justin, we got a big recruiting weekend where we'll be taking care of this upcoming Saturday. There'll be scrimmaging. We'll have reports. We'll have everything leading up to the spring game, packed full of info in May when coaches are talking to recruits, setting up visits, everything. So make sure you head to InsideTexas.com. 4 months for just $1. Justin, I'm going to save you from having to talk about Mav.
I'm Joe Cook, sugar father. Let me tell you something. The only thing that's cooler than the recruiting weekend stuff that we're going to have at Inside Texas on Friday and Saturday is the Fire Nico chants. That's the only thing cooler than what we're going to have at Inside Texas. Those chants last night, they warmed my soul. I actually recorded it and made it my ringtone. And so I only thing better than the Fire Nico stuff is going to be the recruiting stuff. I'll have some more stuff on the list tomorrow and tomorrow morning's Humidor. Joe and I will be out there on Saturday for coverage. Man, a couple weeks ago was a really good recruiting weekend coming out of practice. Now these guys are going to get to watch them scrimmage. Recruits love that stuff. This is the stuff that recruiting guys need to follow.
Absolutely.
What? He's the dumbest.
We'll get into it later.
We don't need to go into anything more than what we did. That's
exactly.
It. There's nothing more to talk about. Just like Lucas said, like The Sopranos, it's over.
Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time on Inside Texas Live, presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors.